When you open your eyes in the morning, before the world demands anything from you, before your phone steals your attention, and before your mind begins to replay old worries, pause for a moment and remember this simple Stoic truth. The way you begin your morning quietly shapes the way you live your entire life, because every day is not won or lost in dramatic moments, but in the small, invisible decisions you make when no one is watching. And the Stoics understood this better than most, which is why they believed that morning was not just the start of the day, but the training ground for character. So as you wake up, do not complain, do not resist the day, do not curse the fact that you are tired or overwhelmed, because the first thought you choose is the first brick you lay in the structure of your mind. And if that brick is resentment, the whole day will lean toward frustration. But if it is acceptance, the day becomes lighter. And this is why Marcus Aurelius reminded himself every morning that he would meet difficult people, selfish behavior, impatience, and misunderstanding, not so that he could become bitter, but so that he would not be surprised, because surprise is what turns discomfort into anger, and anger into regret. Instead, begin by separating what is in your control from what is not, understanding deeply that you control your thoughts, your reactions, your words, and your choices, but you do not control other people's moods, their approval, or the outcomes of your efforts. And this single distinction, practiced every morning, quietly frees you from emotional slavery, especially in relationships, where most pain comes not from what happens, but from what we expect to happen. So as you lie there for a few seconds, prepare your mind for human imperfection. Remind yourself that people are not obstacles placed in your life to test your patience, but teachers sent to reveal it. And when you carry this awareness into your interactions, you stop taking everything personally, which immediately softens your tone, lowers your defenses, and strengthens your presence. Because the Stoic strength is not loud or aggressive, it is calm, grounded, and unshaken. And this calm begins with the understanding that everyone you meet is fighting a private battle you cannot see, which is why kindness is not weakness, but wisdom. And this perspective becomes especially powerful when applied to love and relationships, because Stoicism does not teach emotional coldness. It teaches emotional mastery, reminding you that love is not possession, attachment, or fear of loss, but a voluntary commitment rooted in self-control, meaning you can care deeply without clinging, you can be loyal without becoming dependent, and you can love someone without surrendering your identity. And each morning, a Stoic quietly asks themselves whether they are choosing love or attachment, because attachment demands control, while love respects freedom. And this distinction alone can save relationships from suffocation and resentment, especially when jealousy arises, as jealousy is not proof of love, but evidence of insecurity. And the Stoics taught that when you envy someone or fear losing them, you are really doubting your own worth. So instead of reacting, acknowledge the emotion without obeying it, because emotions are information, not instructions, and when you learn to observe them rather than act on them, you gain inner authority, which is why the Stoics practiced memento mori, the remembrance of death, not to create fear, but to sharpen gratitude, understanding that this day, this conversation, this person might not be guaranteed tomorrow. And when you hold this truth gently in your mind each morning, your ego becomes quieter, your arguments become fewer, and your forgiveness becomes easier, because you stop wasting precious time on pride. And this mindset also transforms how you handle conflict, since most arguments escalate not because the issue is serious, but because the ego feels threatened. So the Stoic prepares for conflict before it happens, by deciding in advance that dignity matters more than winning, that silence can be more powerful than reaction, and that pausing before responding is not avoidance, but mastery. Because the strongest person in the room is not the one who speaks the loudest, but the one who controls themselves the best. And when criticism or disrespect appears, the Stoic asks a simple question: is there truth here? And if there is, they learn from it without shame, and if there is not, they release it without anger, refusing to let other people's opinions rent space in their mind, while also recognizing that endurance has limits, because Stoicism does not glorify self-destruction, and there is a difference between patience and self-betrayal.
So each morning, the Stoic quietly defines their boundaries, knowing where to say no, where to step back, and where to walk away if necessary. Understanding that distance from what harms your character is an act of self-respect, not cruelty. And throughout all of this, gratitude plays a silent but central role, not performative gratitude, but quiet acknowledgement of what is already enough, because a grateful mind cannot be easily manipulated by fear or scarcity. And finally, the Stoic approaches the day not as an exam to pass or fail, but as a practice, accepting imperfection, allowing mistakes, and focusing on intention rather than outcome, knowing that success is not measured by how others respond, but whether they acted according to their values. And when you live this way, relationships stop feeling like battlegrounds and start feeling like shared journeys, because you are no longer demanding that others complete you or protect you from discomfort. You are showing up whole, disciplined, and present. And this is the quiet power of a Stoic morning routine, because when you master the beginning of your day, you slowly master the tone of your life. And over time, without force or noise, you become someone who is harder to provoke, easier to trust, slower to anger, quicker to forgive, and deeply at peace. Not because life became easier, but because you became stronger, wiser, and calmer within it.